Welcome to Soul Talks, the show that helps you live your dreams. I'm super excited today to introduce you to Dan Teck. Welcome. Thanks for being on the show today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me, Ben.
Very glad. I'm very glad that we get to collaborate like this. You're going to be inspired by what you hear today with our guest, Dan Teck. He's an author, a coach, and a law of attraction practitioner. He and his wife, Jody Chapman, are the co-creators of the best-selling Soulful Journal series and the 365 book series, which has the most recent title, Goodness Abounds, which is coming out today. And I'm part of that, so thank you. That's how I found out. I'm very excited. And I co-authored my chapter, my little piece with my dad, and that was great to do that. And also they have a program called Your Soulful Book, which is a heart-centered writing program. And we'll learn more about that. And since 2005, Jody and Dan have been living their dream of creating books, online communities, courses, and products that inspire others to connect with their soul and live fully and passionately. So that's why I'm so excited to collaborate with you, right? Because we believe in the same kind of thing. And Dan has a BA in Religious Studies from Vassar College and an MFA in Creative Writing from Mills College. He and Jody live on the Oregon coast where they enjoy hanging out at the beach, spending time with their cats, and working, creating, and playing together. That sounds great.
It is.
So this show is about real, authentic, and connected conversations. It's about soul-to-soul communication. So something that's different about this show is I'd love for you to go deeper, right? Share something deeper than you would share somewhere else. And so I thought for today we could talk about like why you create these soulful books, and also maybe even Goodness Abounds in particular, because that's the one I found out about and got involved in, and that's the fourth in that series. So why do you create soulful books?
Well, there are so many reasons. First of all, thank you again for having me here. It's wonderful just to have the opportunity, as you said, to make a soul connection and to go a little deeper than people might, with a 30-second soundbite or something, but to really explore the things that are so important to us about connecting with your soul, connecting with others, raising our vibration, and sharing goodness.
Absolutely. So, that's what we want to do, talk about things that really matter to us. And yeah, it's a pleasure to have you here.
Well, thank you. And as you mentioned in the intro, I am a law of attraction practitioner, and I believe that law of attraction brought us together with the synergistic shared value of making soulful connections and raising people's vibration, whether it's through video, through personal in-person connections, through writing, through books, blogging, or any medium. The goal is really the same: to raise vibration, to create deeper soulful connections, and just to share our lives with one another, to make connections. So I'll start with the fourth book. As you mentioned, this is Goodness Abounds, and we're so happy because it is coming out today. And this is the fourth book in the 365 book series. And like all the others, this has 365 true stories centered around one topic. In this case, it's true stories about loving kindness. And all of the authors just wrote one-page stories. We have over almost 280 authors for this one. Some people wrote 2 or 3, but all the stories are just short, one page each, so you can read them real quickly, but you can also go really deeply in one page. People like yourself, Evan, you get right to the heart of really significant life experiences. And the reason we wanted to do this particular book right now is, like so often happens, you get these ideas where Jody and I are both big fans of the Abraham Hicks teachings, and they're always saying, when you know what you don't want, it helps you know what you do want. And these contrasts in our lives, when you see something or experience something that doesn't feel aligned with your highest purpose, with your soul's calling, it sometimes makes it even more clear what you do want. So this idea came about almost exactly a year ago, and if you're living in the US, you can probably do the math and figure out what was going on about a year ago in November 2016. Right around, we had an election here that was just, regardless of what side you were on or which side you were hoping would win, there was just so much negativity going around at that time. And we had actually another book already planned. We had the website up. We were taking orders for people to sign up for that. And we said, I feel like something else wants to come out, that we are so surrounded by negativity, and you look around and it can really be discouraging. You think, is this really the world that I want to live in? Is this the world that I thought was just shining with goodness and good people? And we thought, the world still is a good place. People still are good and loving and kind. And if that's not what's being represented and what we're surrounding ourselves with, then maybe we need to surround ourselves with something different. We need to turn on what we call your goodness radar, which is just, you go out, instead of looking for everything that's wrong with the world, you go out and you look for everything that's good. When you meet somebody, instead of looking to catch them doing something wrong, you look to catch them doing something right, or something kind, or something good-hearted. And so we thought, if we're going to spend about a year putting together this book, which is about what it takes from the time you get the idea, create the initial website, start getting contributors, and then for the final marketing and launch of the book, we want to really immerse ourselves in goodness. We want to surround ourselves in our lives and focus on the kind of world that we want to create. And even if it's not out there 100% yet, we can make that a bigger and bigger part of our personal experiences. So for me and Jody, it was partly selfish in a good way, that we figured if we're going to be focusing a year of our lives on something, we want it to be something really positive, something really uplifting, and something that can restore our faith in humanity and in this world, and remind us that, yes, despite what's on the news day in, day out, there are so many good people. There are people sharing their hearts, giving of themselves, and uplifting others for no other reason than just because they have good natures and they want to share light in the world. And it's been such a blessing for us to really immerse ourselves in this world for the past year.
Could you hold the book up again? I love the picture because it's showing the earth as a heart, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that too. Jody designed the cover, and I thought that was just the perfect image, that sometimes you think of the world as not a real friendly place, or you read the news and you focus on all the things that are going wrong. But we see that at our core, people and the world is loving. And I'm going to botch it if I try to get the exact Einstein quote, but there's the famous Einstein quote about to paraphrase something like, the most important question you'll ask yourself is whether this is a loving universe or a hostile universe. And we had to really ask ourselves that question. And this is the universe and the world that we see and that we want to believe in. And it doesn't mean that everything is always sunshine and roses. We know that there are, as we call them, contrasts in the world. There are things going on that are not aligned with our highest vision. But we also feel that the more you focus on something, the more it expands. So the thing that we want to feed and to have expand is this loving world, in a world in which people make soulful, uplifting connections. So that's exactly the perfect image to embody the
awesome
book and the project.
It's really awesome what you're doing, and it's already happening. It's really doing it.
Thank you. Well, I feel it too.
While I was writing the chapter with my dad, so we collaborated to tell that story. That was like quality time that we were spending together. Right?
Oh, that's
focusing on that goodness that others had done for him and that we did for each other. Yeah.
Well, that's wonderful. So he was involved while you were writing it too.
Yeah. I told a story that happened to him. So
I remember the story, but I thought that you were just writing it based on your memory. So that's wonderful.
I was with him. Yeah, I was at his house in the summer.
Not to give any spoilers, but did you want to share a little bit about your story so that people know a bit about? I've already read your story.
Okay.
But, for people who
I could.
Haven't read it yet.
It's basically about not having to live in scarcity or not be supported, right, or not have security, right. So basically, my dad was. And the title is "Let's Help Each Other," and that's because I also want to encourage collaboration and that change the world so there's more collaboration all over the place. So he was in his 60s and didn't really have any money or prospects. and it was a difficult time. Like he had done a lot of traveling in Mexico and did these kayak safari tours, but after that, like he got hepatitis, and so this shut this down. And he was in Vancouver, and a friend of his like said he could stay with them, and then they realized like their young kid, he could take care of the kid, he could help them too, and so then they help each other, and then they like hired him. He lives with them, he's part of the family, which is great in itself, right? And he gets to live in a very nice house, great neighborhood, and all that. And there's a loving thing going on there. And he was able to save money up, and when he was done with raising their kids and they didn't need him anymore, he moved out of the city where he wanted to be in nature, and he has his homestead now on the bank of a river, which he loves to kayak. And it was the same river he met the lady on originally in the first place, who had the baby, right? So it's pretty cool.
That's wonderful, and that could have been the subtitle of our book, Let's Help Each Other. That's sort of the underlying premise of everything that we're doing this book, and I love that story. It was moving, and I'm glad that he's doing all right, and you guys are continuing that connection, and that sharing this piece was also part of that, to reflect on the goodness that you've given and received, and for you witnessing it with your father and the people who have helped him, and that he was able to reciprocate. It is a wonderful.
Oh yeah, because then he was able to help me later when I was in debt. I didn't have any place to go. He let me stay with him, and he fed me and everything. And later I paid him back, and it didn't matter, right? And it felt so good to be able to do that. And I got back on my feet and was able to invest in myself, right, in here, right, and get going with the entrepreneurial thing again for the second time a few years later. And now we're here, right? We're able to do this.
Yeah.
I'm in Mexico for the winter. Continuing.
Oh, you're in Mexico now. I didn't realize that's where you're coming from.
Yeah. Staying here for 6 months at a very peaceful, beautiful beach with really soft sand, and it's just great.
Oh,
wonderful.
Mm-hmm. How are things in Mexico now?
Great. It's
right. What a wonderful.
I go swimming every day and do some bodyboarding.
Beautiful.
And I'll see my dad again in the summer. I'll go back there. Yeah,
that's so nice.
That's where I live in Canada now. Mm-hmm. I go and stay with him.
Great.
And he tells me stories. And then we share them with the world too.
It sounds like he's got a lot of wonderful ones.
And then another great thing about this book, with all of those contributors, like about 280, we can also connect with those people. And so I've got to start doing that. Like I posted in the group yesterday, because you got the blog tour thing, and I like to interview people and meet them. And so it's like, who wants to be interviewed, right? And so then I was surprised by how many people said they wanted to be, and I've already scheduled 4 tomorrow. So that's gonna be long.
That's wonderful. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is more than just a book, although that's the final tangible product that you can hold. It's a community, and it's a community of authors and editors and artists and creators, and also the readers become part of the community, because by receiving the stories and the messages, they're invited into our lives, and people like you're sharing really intimate, vulnerable, significant parts of your life, and it's like you get to know somebody very quickly just through the stories that you share very quickly. And I won't rattle them all off now, but if you like, you can share. We do have a Facebook group where everybody, the authors and readers, or anybody who's interested at all, can connect with people. And we have online parties, like we're having a launch party for the book where everybody can come, public authors or anybody who's interested, and get to meet the authors.
Mm-hmm. And there's some awesome door prizes going on.
Every hour we're giving out 6 new door prizes. Every half hour we release 3 more. And that's also a nice way for people to deepen their connections, because they can see, some people, everything from, long distance healing or reading or coaching sessions to physical, jewelry and special prizes that people can win. And that's another nice way for people to deepen those connections. Let's say they sign up for a prize and they win a coaching session, and they meet somebody who's a professional coach and a spiritual coach or a life coach or something. They can get into something very meaningful and deep to them, maybe change the trajectory of their lives, or get introduced to a new person or a new concept that can really, shift their lives. And
I'd love to hear, Dan. So you told us why goodness abounds, right? Why this book? But could you tell us like why you got into soulful books in the first place?
Yeah, sure. Like I mentioned, this is the fourth book in the series. I just happen to have the others. The previous ones uh, were 365 life shifts, which were pivotal moments that changed everything, just like it sounds. Before that, we had 365 moments of grace, special, mystical, magical, transformative moments. And the first book in the series, which came out in November of 2015, is 365 ways to connect with your soul. And the first one came about for lots of reasons. I'll give you the mundane reason first. The mundane reason is because back in April of 2015, my wife and I were doing our taxes, and we found a receipt mixed in from several years earlier, from about 4 or 5 years ago. We said, what is this doing here? We were just going through our 2014 taxes. And then we flipped it over, and there was just a few notes scribbled on the back. And we remembered, oh yeah, we had that plan, we had an idea. We're probably out somewhere. I forget exactly where it happened. We said, oh, that's a good idea. Let's write it down. And we just had a receipt. So we scribbled the notes on the back, and we drew a little picture of an idea for a website that was going to collect stories from lots of different people and then share them. And we thought, that might be a good idea. Let's sleep on it. And the next morning, when we woke up, Jody thought, maybe instead of a website, we could have it be an actual book where people all share their stories. So that's the mundane reason, because we found the receipt when we were doing our taxes. But the more significant reason, I think, is because when we were thinking about a book about something like ways to connect with your soul, or moments of grace, shifts in your life, or goodness abounds, we could share a few stories, and we've written in all of the books ourselves. But to have 365, one for each day of the year, something like 365 life shifts. I don't know if we've had that many major transformations that we could talk about. Maybe we could come up with half a dozen or so. But to really get the perspectives from hundreds of different authors, and we have people all around the world, from all different races, religions, sexes, and life experiences, to get that diversity and the wide variety of voices and experiences, perspectives, beliefs, was just something that no one person or two people could have done just by ourselves. And to be able to make it a real community, and to show, it's not just that we have one or two good people, but hundreds and hundreds of people sharing stories of goodness. This is not just a perspective of a couple, but of people all around the world. That's something that we could never have offered on our own. And we're just so blessed that hundreds of people did come out of the woodwork from all around the world to share their stories.
Oh yeah, that's very good. And also, like, you're helping people become authors for the first time too, which is also really awesome. And
yeah, a lot of people.
And also it shows people that there's, like, when you have hundreds of examples like that, it shows people that it's everywhere. And then we can realize, oh, everyone probably has these stories. Maybe they just don't tell them.
Yeah, and a lot of people might not, because it is a big undertaking to create an entire book. And for somebody who's a first-time author, they might not know where to start. Or they might think, well, I'm not going to write a whole book. I've just got this one story I wanted to tell about, an example of goodness or a life shift I went through, and I could tell it in just a page or so. But when you share it with us, and we put it together as a book, we can take care of all the stuff like the editing and the design and the ISBN number and all those things, and they get to be published in this series, which has resonated with so many people and actually become a best-selling series that might have been too daunting a task at first for a first-time author to do. But if we say, just write one page, one story, and email it to us, all of a sudden that's doable. That's not so intimidating. So I think a lot of people, it did enable them to dip their toes in the water of the publishing world, sometimes for the first time. And then we had other people who had written and published many books. They were best-selling authors on their own, but they just had one story they wanted to share, or one life shift they wanted to talk about, or a particular spiritual practice, a way that they connect with their soul that they wanted to share in the book, rather than dedicate a whole book of their own to it. So it's really been a blessing to get that.
I would recommend people to do this if they feel like it, because it was a lot of fun. It was pretty easy. Like, it doesn't take a whole lot of effort because it's short. That was a 350 word thing.
Yeah.
And it was great. I mean, that even helped improve the relationship with my dad, just doing that, because he wants to get his stories out there, right? And then, this is another way to do it.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And there are so many different mediums now. You can you can write a book, you can blog, you can do podcasts or videos like we're doing now. But for people who like writing, like me, it's a great way to do it. And for people who don't always like writing, they're a bit intimidated, I still think it's a good way because we offer support every step of the way. We go back and forth with the authors, as much editing as it needs to be done.
That reminds me. Then I'd love to hear more about like the whole coaching program, like an entire year where you help someone create their soulful book. Like, how?
Yeah, well, this is something that sort of grew organically out of the series. The idea for Your Soulful Book, which is, as you mentioned, is a heart-centered writing program that's starting and running throughout 2018. And as we were putting out these books, many authors, especially first-time authors who submitted a story or two or three, they started thinking, I would love to write an entire book, but I don't know how to start, or I know how to start, but I don't know how to finish, or I don't know how to market the book once it's out, because you don't want to just write a book and then nobody ever reads it or knows about it. So they asked if we could help with the whole process. And we thought, we were very involved at the time with the books themselves. And we said, let's see, maybe we can work with you one-on-one. But then dozens of people started asking. We said, rather than repeat the same thing dozens of times, maybe we'll just put together a program where we can, as with the 365 book series, we can have the benefit of community, but also have a nice systematic approach to creating the book. And we thought about creating a program. We saw there were a lot of other ones around. Some of them, write your book in 6 weeks or a month or 2 months. And we thought, wow, writing and publishing and marketing an entire book in a month or two seems a bit rushed. I think we should take our time. Maybe we'll do it 6 months. So we planned out an entire program, and we had the website all ready to go. And something still felt a little bit rushed. And we thought, I think to really do it justice, if you're writing a soulful book that's talking about the important parts of your life and really digging deep and doing justice to it, not just kind of whipping out a first draft and publishing it with all sorts of typos or non sequiturs, but a really well-written, well-edited book that you can be proud of, that's going to be your legacy and stand the test of time. And most importantly, really touch people, to speak to people who are looking for help, who are looking for something more, who are looking to connect, who are looking to know that they're not alone, even if they're just reading somebody's memoirs or life story about their own soulful journey, that they can relate to that they can resonate, they can recognize similar experiences, or they can recognize experiences that are very different from their own, and their world will be expanded by having read this book. We thought, how can we possibly cram that into, even 6 months seems a bit fast. So we finally settled on a year-long program which walks people through the process of writing a first draft, editing the book, revising it, getting it into the shape they want, doing the design, which we can either do for you, or some people would like to learn and do it themselves, which is fine. But we have the option where we can, as I said, Jody designs our beautiful covers and the inside layout too. And also the nuts and bolts of publishing, either for people who want to self-publish through CreateSpace or other self-publishing print-on-demand services, or some people who are interested in traditional publishing models where they get an agent writing query letters and writing a proposal and learning to go that route. And regardless, even if you're traditionally published, it's expected these days that authors will be the primary marketer of their own book. Like I said, you don't want to write this deeply meaningful book that you spend a year or more of your life focusing on, and then just a few close friends or family read it. You want to share it. There are people out there who are longing for those words and those messages. So we want to help people to find ways to share their message, not like sleazy used car salesman type stuff, but in deeply meaningful ways to connect and share their message and
Hmm.
help people through their words.
Yeah.
So that's the whole story of how
I
it came to be.
moved to, oh yeah, it's great. So it's cool how it came out of what people were asking for. And
Mhm.
it makes sense. I was thinking about it last night. And so then I was wondering actually how it came about. Um, I was moved to say there's this, I don't remember who said it, but someone said that like we are the answer to each other's prayers.
Oh,
So
that's
once,
beautiful.
yeah, so once we write that story or that book, then really we got to do the world a service and get it out there. Because like you said, those people are looking for it. They're asking for it.
Yeah. Yeah, they're praying and they just don't know. I always, this might sound a little dramatic, but if somebody had the cure to cancer, they said, "Well, I have the cure to cancer, but I don't want to toot my own horn or be sleazy and take out ads and let people know about it." There are people who have cancer who would love to know that cure. Well, maybe we don't have the cure for cancer, but maybe we have a cure for loneliness. Maybe we have a spiritual practice that could really reach somebody. Like I said, for me, like hearing the Abraham Hicks teachings especially just resonated. They said, no, we don't want to put out videos or have a website because, we're just going to keep it private. My life would have been, less meaningful, less touched, less blessed. And
Yeah.
to think that you can right now have that answer to somebody's prayers. They're looking for guidance. They're looking for upliftment. You're just looking for another person who can relate, who might have gone through something that,
Yeah.
if you think you're the only person in the world experiencing something or thinking or feeling a certain way, then you read a book or you talk to somebody and you make that soul to soul connection and you realize, hey, I'm not alone. I'm not crazy. I'm not the only one who feels this way. Here's somebody. What a blessing. And to be able to
Yeah. And we can be
express
a
that and
blessing
share it.
we can be a blessing to others and we can give them that connection and connect the connection to their soul
I
just
love
by
that.
sharing our story. Like oh yeah, Michael Bernard Beckwith said, love, it's not something for you that you're supposed to wait for or go searching for. It's something for you to generate, right? It's what we
Yes.
are. But we can be that connection for others. We can give them the sense of connection by showing them who we are or telling a story that like touched us.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are so many different ways of doing it. I don't want to make it sound like, writing is by no means the only way. People do it in all sorts of ways, through a smile, a hug, uh, a video, a dance, giving somebody flowers, cooking somebody a meal. But for me, writing is such a beautiful gift that is exactly like you said, it's a way to generate love. It's a way to generate expression. It all comes from within. If you're writing about your own life, your own experiences, your own beliefs, thoughts, things that you want to share, you're generating that love and then sharing it. And then as a reader, to be able to receive that, and then it generates new ideas or it lights up ideas that you might have already had, but were sort of semi-conscious and resonates with a place in your heart. That's just a wonderful way to connect. So that's why I'm so drawn to writing and reading as a way to connect and to
Oh yeah.
give people the gifts and the tools, because maybe they have something that they want to, that they're already generating and all ready to share, but just maybe they don't know how to get onto CreateSpace, or they don't know how to format their book, or they're not sure how to use parallel sentence structure and they're confused and intimidated by all the steps of editing. So to be able to just give somebody a tool and an empowering platform to share that message, that love, that experience that they want to connect with.
Totally. Totally.
It's just a
You're
gift.
helping people create inspiring platforms. It's awesome.
That's
Oh, and I wanted
wonderful.
to say it's a pleasure collaborating with you. Like having
Thank you.
done the Goodness Abounds book, the way you have everything organized, or maybe Jody, right? It's all set up, right? And it's
It's a lot, Jody. I'll tip my cap to her. But thank you.
Yeah, everything's set up. You'll be taken care of. It's awesome.
All right. Well, thank you. And we really do try to make not just the end product, but the whole process, the whole journey from inception, coming up with the ideas and how we present it, how we connect with the community, and also to guide people step by step, to hold your hand, to know that this might be somebody's first time as a published author. Is that for you? Is this your first time appearing in print in a book, or?
Well, I've done a couple of co-authored books before, so they were all co-authored books.
Okay.
Yeah, so I haven't done my own one yet, but yeah, so it's the third. It's actually the third of those.
All right. Well, congratulations on all three. So that having having somebody to walk you through the process makes it a little bit easier, a little less intimidating.
Absolutely.
So we love to be able to make it as clear as we can. And that follows right up through the launch and the way we share about it through marketing and
I can feel the
parties.
energy of all the messages. Like there's a loving, supportive energy to it. So just want to say I appreciate that.
Oh, thank you so much. It's nice that that's recognized and appreciated, because it is the intention that we set right from the beginning, and do everything we can to carry it through.
So for anyone listening to this, do you have anything extra special to give them for if they sign up to your Soulful Book program?
Yeah, I do. I would love to offer anybody. I know it's not for everybody, but if you do feel a little spark within you when we're talking about writing, sharing a story, sharing something meaningful to you, or maybe even creating an entire book of your own, I would love to support you through that process, through your Soulful Book. And Bevan will provide the link. But as a special thank you, I would also like to offer you a free one-on-one hour-long video chat session. And that's actually two free sessions. One, if you're thinking about it and you're not entirely sure, I'd love to talk to you, and Bevan will provide the link for that. And then if you do decide that this is for me and I want to write a book and go through this Your Soulful Book program in 2018 and finish, publish, and market my book all next year, part of that program is you meet one-on-one with me, and I'll give you an extra session so we can talk about your book, either in the beginning, what do you want to write about? What are some of the big pictures, your big why, reason, your passion, your purpose for writing the book? Or at any point throughout the program, we can talk about the nuts and bolts. How do you get it published? How do you market it? You're stuck at a certain point. You got writer's block. Anything you want to talk about, I'll be here for you. So that, in addition to everything you get in the program, you just say that you saw this interview series, and I'll give you an extra session. And like I said, even if you don't sign up, I'd be happy to talk to everybody watching, just for a free session to talk, to get to know each other a little bit better. I'd love to learn about you, your ideas, your potential book, and whether or not it's something that you want to make an actual book. So that's my offer to everybody, as a way of saying thank you for sharing your time here and watching and listening today.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you very much. So,
my pleasure.
So what else should we share? What else do you want to share with people today? Like, for example, the Goodness Abounds book is launching today, and anything else?
I think, just in keeping with the spirit of Goodness Abounds, the whole point, as I said, is to turn on your goodness radar, to encourage people to look for the good in the world. And I know it's very easy to get sucked into spirals of negativity and to find things to complain about. But I found that whatever you're looking for, you will find. And if you set out, whether you're looking for, go out for a walk and you're looking for a red car or a certain butterfly, or you're looking for examples of goodness, you're going to find that. And I would encourage everybody, whether it's through the book, whether you come to our Facebook party, buy the book, read the book, or just you're living your life day to day, today and beyond, to look for examples of goodness, to look for people sharing a kind word, a helping hand, or just a supportive, understanding, open heart. And if you can't find it, as you were saying, Bevan, you can be the answer to somebody else's prayer, that maybe you can generate that love and that goodness, and to be the example for somebody else that goodness abounds. Maybe they are starting to lose faith or wonder whether this really is a good, kind world. And you can show them, yes, there are still good people. Yes, there are still people who want to make soulful connections, uplift others, and to share goodness. So whether it's through the book and through me, or a writing program, or something completely different, I would just encourage all of us to look for examples of goodness. And I promise you that if you're looking for it, you will find it. And the more you focus on it, the more it's going to expand in your world, and you're going to feel a whole lot better. Whether or not it changes anybody else's lives, and I'm telling you it will, but you're going to start off feeling better when you're finding these examples of goodness and kindness, and when you're feeling that you can also be the source of that goodness. it's just so empowering, so uplifting. So
That's awesome.
that's my 2 cents.
That's such an inspiring message. Yeah, I love it. It touched me to do that, to go out and look for it more. Absolutely. And
Great.
it's a great idea because what we look for, we're going to see more of.
Absolutely.
And also when we see, or if somebody sees someone doing something like a kindness for others, they tend to then go and do a kindness for others too. So it
I think
continues
so.
to ripple. So go and look for it and be the change you want to see in the world too.
Absolutely.
Mhm. Okay, well, thank you. Yeah, thanks for sharing your soul today on Soul to Soul Talks, Dan.
Thank you. It's been such a pleasure, and I really appreciate the invitation to be here and to share with you, and for everybody who's taking the time to watch and listen today.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.